a Tuesday. I know it feels like Wednesday or Thursday for a lot of people.
Right.
So we are collectively kind of taking a sigh now that the weather is over. You know, we're dealing with the aftermath, but there have been so many stories of people just helping each other out, neighbors getting out and shoveling each other's driveways, people giving each other rides, people putting up the carnies in their house. Thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it.
You know, we had another friend drive up from Dayton yesterday. Now, he was driving from Dayton to the airport to pick up his wife, who had spent the weekend in Chicago. But still, came from Dayton, went out of his way on the way to the airport to stop by our house and dropped off a generator yesterday.
Oh, wow, nice.
And the generator, you know, I've never had a generator. I don't really even know how they work. Now I know they run on gasoline. But I thought maybe we're going to have heat in the house. I guess it's possible, but you'd have to do some rewiring and refiguring.
You have an electric furnace, because
Yes.
when we were texting last night, I asked my husband, I'm like, how do you hook it up? And he said, if you have an electric furnace, you can literally just plug it in.
Well,
the
the furnace is in the crawl space down the basement. The generator is out back or out front with a big exhaust. I mean, I'm not going to have it in my house.
Ooh.
So
You've really had the worst of it, of all four of us. You still don't have any electricity. Yours went out, what, Friday?
Saturday morning at 1:45. But it is plugged. We now have plugged in the freezer in the garage, which
That's
is saving
good.
the meat that we bought for the house. So at least we're saving some food because
No,
of
you
that
got
generator.
salt of the joke.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what
You're
to do
saving
either.
the meat, but you got no heat.
Oh, yeah. I texted that earlier, Nina. I said, hey, we're saving our meat, but we've got no heat.
That's a good one.
No, I don't think it's as easy as just taking it and plugging it into the furnace, by the way. I honestly, but our neighbor said you have to refigure the whole, like, switchboard.
Well, and what's the point?
Yeah, you should just start a
save the
big
meat.
fire in the backyard, Drew. That's my
We're
advice.
saving the
Start
meat
a
is the
fire.
But you're spending the night at your neighbor's house,
We have
even though
been,
you have a generator
for some
now?
reason, their house has been, they have no power either, but their house has remained warmer. Ours is at 46 degrees.
You need to have better insulation, perhass.
Maybe
think?
that. There's a lot of windows, probably some single pane jobbies up there on the top floor.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a cold house. A cold, frigid, not welcoming home that we live in.
We went on an odyssey to go
Wow.
rescue my mom, and she's on the border of like Lake Oswego, Westland. She lost power too, but she has these huge trees blocking, like 3 or 4 Douglas firs, big ones, blocking her driveway, so she can't get out. And her driveway is just an ice. Her whole like street is an ice hill. So we had to park at the bottom. I stayed in the car with the toddler. The firefighter husband, which made a big difference, walked all the way up, had to help her get over the trees
Jeez.
and take her bags down. So
Did he
she's
put her
in
on
our house.
in his back? Did he put your mom on his back?
But she got like umbrellas as like walking sticks, and he helped kind of walk her down this icy hill. We didn't even want to drive up it.
Good man.
And yep, so she's at our house for the foreseeable future till the power comes on. And
Rod, who have you rescued?
yeah, Rob.
So my daughter has a half sister that lives. They live over by Rose City Golf Course, over by the Banfield Pet Hospital over that way. So they've been without heat. So her and her boyfriend, my wife, picked them up yesterday. So they're bedding down at our house. Although my wife just tells me that the heat went off, which is not an electricity problem. We have the crappiest flipping heat furnace I've ever seen. Don't ever buy a Coleman furnace.
You should get a generator for that.
So anyway, I got to go home, and I know what to do. I roll up my sleeves, and I grab my tools, and I go out into the garage, and I fix it. I'll do that again when I get home today.
Oh
Nice.
my gosh. My gosh.
But yeah, there's been so many people like that have, gotten out and gotten their own chainsaws and started cutting down trees and safely moving things for people. And our neighbors shoveled our front sidewalk before we could get to it this weekend, so that was really nice. And I need to buy a bag of like ice melt.
Oh, yeah. That's a
we
good
just don't
idea.
we always obviously had it in Bend, but I've never bought in a bag here. But that's
Although
good for steps.
everything's turning, you step on it, it turns to slush. I think you don't really need that
Well, it's
now. You
better
just
than
need to get the
ice.
slush off of the road, off the sidewalks.
Can I read a couple comments? Willie Huey, good morning to you. This is for you, Drew. He says, sorry, Drew. I'm at the coast. I can't come play electrician for you with your new generator. It's not easy or safe to just wing it.
So did Willie, he lives in West Lynn, did he escape to the coast because of the power outage? I'm guessing that's probably the case.
He says he was afraid you were going to call him and want to come over, so he went to the
No, he said actually his house temp, I'm looking at another comment of his, it says his house temp is 45 degrees and no clue when the power's coming back.
Yeah.
Angie Hill, good morning to you. She says, watching y'all charging my phone in my car.
Yeah.
She's in Northeast Salem, still no power.
That's dedication. Thank you.
Boy, 1 block south of her has power, and 5 houses
Isn't that
down
infuriating
have
sometimes?
power.
You see people with their lights on and you don't have it yet. It's just-
And she says, not complaining. Thank you for the tireless hours PGE is working. Yeah, they've done amazing.
I mean, they flew in crews from Montana and Nevada. Like, that's how many people that they needed to have help this. It is just crazy. I guess there's a run on, you know, like motel rooms and
Yes.
hotel rooms with people
I guess.
trying to find a place to stay, kind of, you know, nearish their neighborhood. And then gas stations have, a lot of them don't have power. And so the nearby ones that do have run out of fuel, or there's super long lines.
Oh, for crying out
Like in
loud.
the Tualatin area. Yeah, I've seen that yesterday.
Yeah, Lori says still no power in Oregon City. It went out Thursday night. Ellis says no power in the Kenton district in Northeast Portland. Or north,
yeah.
is that north?
Yeah. Jennifer Taft says her 85-year-old neighbor, tough as nails, out there yesterday morning helping out neighbors. Dude is tougher than nails, she says. Her 85-year-old neighbor. Wow. All right.
That's awesome.
Hey, some good news for you, Rod, perhaps.
Yes,
Unless you
yes.
like having your family stay at your house. Janet chimes in this morning. Good morning, Janet. She says, hey, Rod Hill, your friends who are staying with you, let them know the power is back on by Rose City Golf Course. Came on at 4:30 this morning.
Wow.
I was so excited, I jumped out of bed and am now watching you.
Yay!
So I got to drive them back.
You have to drive them back?
I shouldn't complain. Well, yeah, we picked them up. Now we got, because they don't have a good snow car either. So we picked them up, brought them.
Man.
But sounds like I'll be driving them back home.
You are everything
this
to those
morning.
people. You're everything to them.
You know, that is the
did send us a
absolute
Christmas card.
best sound when the power comes back on, because that happened to us Saturday. You know, we were good for a couple hours and then we started getting antsy, like, what are we going to do? Kind of reading, you know, hanging out. And we were just kind of all sitting around doing our own thing, and I heard beep. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what did
And
I
you're
leave
like,
on? And then both Jeff and Jaden were like, the power's back on. And we were so happy.
And that was after how many hours?
A few.
Oh, that's great, Brenda.
You know, we're
good
kind
for you.
of lighthearted, but I acknowledge I've never gone a handful of days in my entire life without electricity, and I want people watching to know we all very much are feeling your pain. It's the biggest story in our area right now. The people are dealing with cold and no electricity and really scrambling to hold things back together.
Our
You know, we have
sympathies for sure.
a great article on KGW.com right now, and it's all about kind of what to do with your fridge food so it doesn't spoil. Because a lot of people were asking, well, I've got snow outside. Can I just like stick, you know, my carton of milk or whatever in the snow? And so we went to like health experts to see, you know, what the outside temperature has to be, what are the conditions to safely kind of keep some food out there. And they gave some really smart tips, and they said, you know, as much as you can, don't open the freezer door ever.
Yeah.
And most of that stuff you might be able to save. But then they said, you know, if you do have chunks of ice outside, bring it in and put it in your refrigerator in kind of like Rubbermaid Tupperware containers, and just that kind of inside the fridge can really help save a lot of stuff.
We thought about doing Ziplocs. We didn't have to because the power came back on, but Jaden was Googling, and I want to say that she was reading somewhere, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, that you could go about 12 to 24 hours if you don't open anything before anything, you know, starts to go bad. Yeah.
You know, there's another plan of attack that I used on Sunday. Just start eating everything in the refrigerator. And just sit down and start eating all of it so that it doesn't go to waste.
That's old school, Drew, right there.
Remember we had that talk about you finishing all the food.
Yep, I did see it. Yesterday I opened up that, we pretty much emptied that refrigerator out at this point. But I did look yesterday. I have a little container in there from Thursday night's dinner, last Thursday night, that I was going to bring to work on Friday and didn't. And it's just still sitting there. I guess it's probably shot now.
Yeah, don't do it.
Renee Robertson says, do many hotels have generators? Go there, stay warm, and charge your phones.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, we were thinking about that. Rod, actually, it was you. You were saying for the first time in many, many years that you were going to stay was it Sunday
stay.
into Monday
Yeah, Sunday
in a
night.
hotel?
Yeah.
I know. So I was kind of looking through, where should we stay? Should I move closer to downtown and just kind of hang out? And what is that? There's a place called lastminutebooking.com for folks who, if it came to it and you were like, I got to get out of my house or whatever, you can go there and they've got some really good deals. We ended up just, staying home, but just FYI.
Yeah.
HOTWIRE, hotwire.com.
Yeah, there you go. Willie
go there,
Huey.
too.
Reminding people not to park under a slope roof, snow and everything's
yeah.
sliding off. Interesting, when I drove home yesterday on I-5, you go through the Interstate Bridge, which has the, scaffolding, whatever you want to call it, the way the bridge is constructed, right? So all this ice is mostly ice, I think, was just melting, and these big chunks were coming down, and the rain, it was like driving through a car wash. It was kind of crazy, but I heard one piece of ice kind of hit my car as it came down. So anyway, that was my big melting experience.
Shireen Miller Simmons says, during the Columbus Day storm, my mom and her sisters ate tons of ice cream because that's what was in my great-grandmother's freezers. One of her best memories.
Yep. We had,
Don't let that go to waste.
We had 2 Tillamook containers and a small thing of Ben & Jerry's. The Cherry Garcia is like the favorite of our boys, and that's kind of like a treat. They earn the Cherry Garcia. And when I was going through, I was like, the Tillamooks were spared, but the Cherry Garcia was toast. I'm like, Dad, you couldn't save the Cherry Garcia? No, sons, we lost the Cherry Garcia.
You guys seen Heather Matthews says all hotels are booked within 2 hours of us. I wonder if that's just her calling or she's been on multiple websites, but
We do a kind of a newsroom, like night note, they call it, to let our morning crews know what was going on while we were sleeping. And they did have that in there of like many hotels people are saying, even, fancy ones considered fancy downtown full. So we had put some calls in to see, what capacity is like. Because a lot of hotels right now are temporarily closed because of the pandemic and they just haven't had guests.
Because when we looked Valentine's Day, we found plenty. I wonder if those are outdated. Maybe. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Janet was chiming back in. Earlier, Janet mentioned that your family can get back to their home, Rod, on the Portland side.
Yeah.
She said when you drive them back home, because you said you have to drive them, they're not capable of doing that themselves. When you drive them back to home, she says, stop by my house for a hot cup of coffee. Janet offering a cup of coffee
with
you.
Rod.
really, I'm open to that.
Janet, next comment is the address. You put the address in the stream.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Rod will come a knocking.
Janet.
Oh my gosh. Ken Yankee says we still have about 10 inches of snow in the hills of East Kelso.
Yeah.
And Tracy wants to know, anybody make snow ice cream?
I heard somebody saying that, like back in the day. That was the
1692?
time. Well, no, it was some well-known storm around here before, modern freezers, I guess. Somebody was typing on Facebook that that was when they would make ice cream and
I
store
think
it.
that's a tall tale.
Leslie Laura says loose ice was bombarding me yesterday. When I was driving in and kind of just glanced up at the trees and the streetlights, it looked like all that stuff had melted, like on Southeast Sunnyside.
Yeah. Hey, Lorna, blessed to have power, but no Comcast for 4 days, no Wi-Fi. So our Comcast was out off and on yesterday, and then finally was off for like 3 hours. And then, I have to look at weather data before I come in. Otherwise, I would have to come in really super early. So I drove about 10 minutes away to my neighbors who had their internet service, and I said, hey, can I come over and use your internet? Will you make me a cup of coffee? so thanks to Keith and Ellie, my old neighbors, for giving me internet service to look at the weather maps last night.
Yeah, Debbie Southworth says about 5 inches of standing snow in my Southeast Portland neighborhood. I love the way she describes this. Roads are an unholy mixture of ice chunks, snow, and water. It is a mess. They're like ice boulders when the plows come through and everything goes to the side.
I don't know if you guys have ever been out to Scotts Mills. We have a viewer watching this morning from Scotts Mills, Robin Welch. And Robin says Scotts Mills has seen so many trees come down. PG said no power expected in that area for another week because of all the debris. They just can't get to where they need to go to help out. And Scotts Mills, it is such a wooded area.
Where is that, Marion?
Marion County, not too far from Silverton.
Okay.
Our boys had a birthday party one year, and if you're watching, a little off topic, but if you're watching and you're thinking of a birthday idea for like a kid 12 and maybe between like 9 and 12, they had this place called Camp Dakota out there near Scotts Mills. And we spent 2 days there during their birthday weekend with a couple of their friends. And they have like archery for the kids. They have swing lines, a rope course, all kinds of adventures, disc golf. It's a campsite on top of that. So it's a really cool spot out there near Scotts Mills called Camp Dakota.
That's fun.
Oh, yeah.
For warmer weather.
Stanford Walker, this is a good one. Also kind of off topic, but I like the direction you're going, Stanford. He wants to know, Rod, when are you going to predict 70-degree weather? What
Yeah,
month
that's my
do you
question.
think it'll be before we get up to 70?
I want to say just off the top of my head, we typically, on average, would start seeing our first 70-degree weather. We can do it in April, of course. I think we can even do it in March, but often it's really not until May. And the forecast models are really showing above normal rainfall, which will lead to below normal temperatures in March and April, which would put that bet potentially into May.
You're saying a wet March and
A
April.
long time from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
A wet March and April.
There's actually, I think the record high in February, if I'm correct, the last couple of days of February, there's a 70-degree temperature in there. Does that sound possible? Am I smoking? What's going on?
Pardon?
Pardon me, I gotta go see. I'll be right back.
What's going on?
I want to check the first 70-degree temperature that we've ever had in the record book.
I just heard, am I smoking?
Am I smoking? What's going on? So here it is.
Smoke 'em.
February
Raw Hill.
28th. February 28th, 71 degrees back in 1988. My memory was true. How about that?
Look at that.
Wow. All right.
Right.
My wife wonders why I can't remember what she tells me every day, but I can remember these weather records.
I do not
Alana
remember
Starr.
Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah. Alana Starr, good morning to you. Day 4, no power in Almsville. So thankful for the crews working so hard to get us back on. They're the heroes.
Do you see Heather Matthews? It's 40 degrees in our house. No power in North Kaiser since Saturday. We played board games by candlelight, piled on the blankets, tried to decide who's the best Disney princess with our 2 teenagers. That's a full weekend. Yeah.
I go classic. I probably go Snow White there.
That's classic.
We made chocolate cupcakes. We made French toast. We made like popping corn popcorn, like in the pan. And we watched, Disney movies. I really made a dent in my 1,000-piece puzzle.
You know why you did all that? Because you had
Because I
freaking heat in
had
your house.
power, and it was freaking great.
Yeah, but you know what? You have.
Oh, boy.
So when we came in, we were kind of chatting before the newscast at 5, and Nina just said, "Oh, I've got a little one at home, trying to keep her entertained, which is like a whole other job."
Yeah.
Hats off. I
And now
remember
I
those
got
days.
the Nana, which I have to entertain now, too.
Well, apparently,
Wait till they get to be in their 20s, because I said
No,
to
they're
Jaden,
playing together.
Hey,
They're great.
Can
More
you make
on
my
how,
coffee tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Say more on how hotel space is just going like wildfire. Willie Huey found 2 nights at the Hyatt on the South Waterfront. About the last place left. Sounds like he had tried a bunch of different properties. So if that's something you're thinking about doing, boy, you need to get on that as soon as you can.
I think he's talking about Astoria, though. If
Is
you're
that
talking
right?
Really, yeah, he's down on the coast. He told
Well,
us
Astoria
earlier.
wouldn't be a problem.
So I think he means the South Waterfront of Astoria.
All right, I was thinking, is there a Hyatt down on the Portland South Waterfront? Okay, all right, okay.
Getting back to snow and ice cream.
Yes, I love
you
this.
see this?
Yeah.
Lynn saying, hey, ice and snow ice cream is a real thing. Used to do it all the time in the Midwest. My gran always made it. And then Patricia responded to that saying, yes, this was always a great treat to make.
Yeah, on YouTube, we got a lot of people watching on YouTube. Good morning, guys. DL Sosnick says, I have news for you. It's called snow cream, and I've had it many times in the past.
Snow cream.
And with ice cream in the freezer at the same time. It's delicious, but not safe now.
Not safe now. Too many dogs running
Why?
around?
Right.
Not safe now?
Jennifer Taft says sugar on snow. Made some with my mom's maple syrup fresh from Vermont.
I saw a friend of mine made that video. They take like hot maple syrup and you make lines in fresh snow and do that. And you take like tongue depressor popsicle sticks and you stick it on there and roll it. And they're like little taffy lollipops almost.
Oh, interesting.
In the snow. It looked really cool.
During this whole conversation, all I can think about is the old Snoopy snow cone machine. Do you remember that toy they used to have?
Yes. Oh my God, I had that.
You had that?
Yes.
And the name is the Snoopy snow cone machine. You put ice
I was
cubes
so
in, you
excited
get
to
a
get
snow
that for
cone
Christmas.
out.
Yeah.
Dum dum dum. That's what it's all about.
You see, Brittany says we sprayed our bushes with food coloring. Turned
I
out
saw
pretty.
that.
You see
Yeah.
that? All
What
right.
does it do?
Why'd you do that?
I guess she wanted a little color in her life. I don't know.
Kate thinks you're gross. Anybody who is like eating snow, she said, no, this is disgusting. You're turning my stomach.
thinks you're
LOL.
gross.
Yeah, come on, eating snow's common. Come on.
Kate thinks you're
I'm
gross.
with you, Kate.
You're gross.
Snow's for sledding, not for eating.
Oh my gosh. Leslie says, oh shoot. So I was so grateful for having a wood stove when the power went out for 3 days, was able to cook on it too. Felt like a pioneer woman. Go girl.
Hey guys, do we have any information on Comcast? Vicki Peterson says, what's going on with Comcast? We cannot talk to anyone, no updates from them, no Wi-Fi, we can't work. Do we know anything?
Well,
Comcast
the power's
outages? So, okay, so we don't know anything specific about what the company's saying, Comcast, okay.
No, I would think it's all lumped in with the power's out, you know?
Well, our power's back on and our Comcast was out, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's separate little, you know, like lines that go from to your house.
All right.
From there.
Okay, so we don't know, sorry.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have the information, and we're going to beat that like a...
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Jessica, getting back to some of the good stuff. Jessica, I like that.
Jessica.
We think it's Jessica. She does spell it differently, right? We had this discussion before. Jessica. Could you give us a phonetic spelling of your name? But also this fantastic comment, because she weighs in saying, I love watching you guys. Lots of fun. You all make me giggle. She says, but on her days off here in Vancouver, her restaurant's pipes froze, walk-in cooler motor broke, all the food they had at that restaurant went to waste. I didn't realize that you owned a restaurant, because I know you've chimed in before. So tell us a little bit more about your place and the pronunciation of your first name. Thank you.
Those are the items that we'll need.
Eating icicles, Tracy Thompson.
All right, my director just said in my ear, we have a little breaking news for the Today Show cut-in.
Oh,
so
we do?
we need to scoot
Right.
and
What
see
it
what
is?
that is. Yes, stay tuned. No, he didn't say.
We were just getting to the fun stuff.
All right, well,
All right, you
we'll
guys,
be back
see you
tomorrow.
Stay safe.